The Ohio Veterans Hall of Fame recognizes Ohio's distinguished men and women who have worn the uniform of our nation's armed forces and then continue to contribute to their communities, state, and nation through exceptional acts of volunteerism, advocacy, professional distinction, public service, and philanthropy. The Ohio Veterans Hall of Fame nominate a veteran today.
My name is Kenneth J. David, U.S. Army, Vietnam War. I am from Girard, Ohio. In high school, I was in the band. I was an Eagle Scout. I was too small to play sports or football. I graduated in '68, and in 1969, I got a surprise letter and I got drafted. I did basic training in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. From there, went down to Fort Polk, Louisiana. Then right from there, I went to Vietnam. May of '70 is when I got boogered up. Well, we got overrun. There was 300 coming up the mountain. The only way to get to the mountain was on my side with the lieutenant, my sergeant, and the 18 of us, and we just got overrun. Called in gunships. I gave my radio to the Sarge, and I did what I had to do to protect the ones that were still alive and badly wounded.
Each time the enemy attempted to concentrate its fire on the wounded inside the perimeter, Private First Class David would jump from his position and yell to draw the enemy fire away from his injured comrades and back to himself. Refusing to withdraw in the face of the concentrated enemy fire now directed toward him, he continued to engage the enemy. Although wounded by an exploding satchel charge and running perilously low on ammunition, he tossed hand grenades toward the attackers to effectively counter their fire. The unit's medic, realizing that Private First Class David had been injured, moved to his position to provide aid, but Private First Class David assured him that he was okay and continued to fight on. Private First Class David's courageous and selfless actions continued to draw the enemy fire away from the incoming medevac helicopters, allowing the wounded to be safely evacuated. After Allied reinforcements fought their way to his company's position, Private First Class David carried a wounded comrade to a sheltered position. He then returned to the contact area and continued to engage the enemy and provide covering fire for the wounded until the enemy broke contact and fled, at which point he too was medically evacuated.
And ended up in the hospital for 5 months, and I spent my last 9 or 10 months at Fort Dix, New Jersey as a clerk. 30 days before I got out in '71, they presented me with the Distinguished Service Cross for what I did in May of '70, and they had a big party, included me in the retirement party, and my family was there to accept the honor and watch me. When I got out of the Army and came back home, it was a hard adjustment, so I just started building a imaginary foxhole. Every day put another sandbag, and I got to the point where I couldn't put any more sandbags on. That's when I reached out for help. I got active in military organizations, found out that I wasn't the only one with the same problem, and got active and then started helping veterans, widows, receive what they earned and what their husbands earned, and not go through the hardships that I had to go through to get my benefits. The Disabled American Veterans is my main military organization. Well, I went back to my old job at the Ohio Department of Highways as an inspector, and then things got bad, and then I took an apprenticeship job over in Pennsylvania for heating and cooling, and I kept progressing, and then when I turned 40 years old, I got into the Union Hall of Plumbers and Pipe Fitters and retired 24 years later. The pleasure I get talking to high school kids. I don't tell war stories. I talk from the heart, and tell them the way life is. It's an honor. I'm very humbled, and I don't do it for the honor. I do it for the honor of the ones that didn't get old and gray like me and didn't come home to remember them. It's another chapter in the life of my story of my life, the things I accomplished that I'm finally getting thanked for. And I really appreciate it. And there's a lot of good people in the Hall of Fame that I've met afterwards, and it's a great honor.
Selection and induction into the Ohio Veterans Hall of Fame is a great honor. Nominate a veteran today